I'm Sandy Toksvig, and this is What the Dickens, a show that believes in the old adage, leave the audience wanting more. So thank you and good night. With Chris Addison tonight is a journalist and TV presenter who is now so successful in his own right, he no longer gets introduced as Alan Corrin's son. So please welcome Victoria Corrin's brother, Giles. And with Sue Perkins is a comedian who includes a Confuse the Teacher feature in one of her shows, in which she reads out a random word for young listeners to include in their homework. It's a game that some presenters try to play on TV shows, Giraffe, though they're always too subtly done for anyone to notice. Ladies and gentlemen, Josie Long. The first round is called 3 Steps to Heaven. Our teams are shown 3 images in turn, each offering a clue to a famous film, book, play or musical. 3 points are awarded should they guess the answer from the incredibly difficult first image, reducing to just 1 for the, oh, so easy third picture. So, Chris and Giles, get us underway. Here is your first picture clue. It's a woman, I can tell you she's mashing potatoes.
That's Melissa Joan Hart, who is Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Is it?
Yes, it
Does
is.
she work in the kitchen in her off hours?
Well, possibly this is what witches have to do. Maybe she's got a wand stuck.
It's obviously not mash, because you said it was a difficult one.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, but I'm telling you that the mash is the important is the bit.
Is it Toy... is it... Wait, I think it's Toy Story 3,
right.
The Death of Mr. Potato Head.
Oh, don't! That's horrible. I love Mr. Potato Head.
Right, he's excellent with a little butter.
Oh, no, it's not that.
I think it's Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
You are absolutely right. 3 points. This game will be over in no time. What gave it away? I mean,
it was because the only thing that I remember is your man Richard Dreyfuss making the mountain out of mashed potatoes. The only thing I remember about that film. I was going to say Richard Digens, but that would have been a very different film.
Totally different kind of film.
Show us what the other pictures were.
Well, let's have a quick look at the other pictures.
Smug.
World War II pilot and his aircraft. Let's have a look at the third. I like this. Okay, it's a cup and saucer, but where is it? And what is the saucer doing?
It's flying.
It's flying. It's clever, isn't it?
A flying saucer. That's very good,
So let's just sum up. The answer was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In the film, Roy piles spoons full of mashed potato onto his plate, sculpting it into the shape of the mound in his visions. The airmen and aircraft represent the lost World War II aircraft found at the start of the film, and the saucer on the plane is a flying saucer. I think it's the very first time I've given 3 points, so well done there, Chris. Terrific. In Close Encounters of the Third Kind, aliens communicate with humans through music, much like Andrew Lloyd Webber does. Over to you, Sue and Josie. Here is your first picture clue. If you get it straight away, I may have to kill you.
Is this Rosie Boycott plays Spot the Vegetable?
Boris Johnson trying to work out why he can't light his cigar. We've got the lovely Boris Johnson. We've got the lovely Rosie Boycott. What are they holding? I think the thing is critical.
So the carrot is key.
The carrot is key.
Oh, the carrot's key.
It's not the colour of the carrot, just the carrot.
A London carrot.
Cockney carrot, Camberwell carrot, which would be...
Oh my God!
No, is it? Is it really the Camberwell carrot?
Yes.
Which is, I can't remember the name. Don't you tell me. With nail and eye. Yes, it is. That's the name of it. With nail and eye.
We're doing absolutely right.
God, what a steal!
That's right.
That's right, Abby. So you're saying the mayor is rolling a fat one for Rosie?
Yes. Well, let's have a look at the second picture, which I think would have been helpful. Lots of delicious cakes there. In one memorable scene, Withnail demands cakes whilst drunk in a tea room, and the Lake District is where the principal characters go on holiday by mistake. This is unbelievable. 3 points to Sue and Josie. Withnail and I, of course, features the infamous Camberwell carrot. I don't know exactly what it is, but it makes a marvellous soup. It's very Moorish. Do you know that drug thing has never worked for me? I have once in my life had a cannabis joint. A friend of mine thought I would...
Cannabis
Did you find it hard to purchase such a thing?
You've got that the Tory politician's dictionary of drug abuse.
Yes, a cannabis joint, please.
I was offered some cocaine powder, but I thought, no, I'll go with the cannabis joint.
A marijuana reefer, is it?
Yes, a reefer was also good. Somebody proffered me amphetamine, and I said no. I shan't have that because I have a cannabis joint.
The next round is called Love It or Loathe It. Our guests have chosen something or indeed someone from the arts world which they either love or loathe. They must spend a minute trying to be equally convincing on both sides of the argument, and then the other team have to guess whether they either genuinely love or loathe their chosen subject. So, Giles, you are up first. What is your chosen subject?
I've chosen Philip Roth.
OK, and are you going to love or loathe Mr. Roth to begin with?
I'll love him first.
You'll love him first. OK, you have 1 minute starting
How do
now.
I know when the minute's finished?
I will tell you, darling. Trust me. I'm like a fierce nanny.
Is it like
program.
Countdown? Will it go tock, tock, tock,
No, sadly not. But you'll tell.
OK, leap in if it's going wrong.
There'll be a grim look in my eye.
OK, can I say masturbation?
You just did.
Right. OK, well, Philip Roth is... I cover...
Sorry, you've already used 20 seconds.
Excellent. Philip Roth, I love Philip. Partly it's by default. He's an enormous master writer, and we English people, and as someone who reviews books and stuff in England and is English written the odd novel, we don't have anything big. We don't have any... Our concerns are so parochial now. We have no great novelists. We have an excellent sort of second rank of Ian McEwan and Julian Bartley. They have these huge writers, and they did until recently have three. They had Bellow and Roth and Updike. He has been served well by the death of the other two, Philip Roth, and he's now... stands alone. He started in 1957. He wrote books which were about a young Jewish writer preoccupied with masturbation. And speaking as a young Jewish writer preoccupied with literature, he became a very important sort of like fatherish sort of figure to me and in my imagination. And then he covered all sorts of different sort of subjects as time has gone on, and he's not even won the Nobel Prize yet, which he ought to have done, and he covers all sorts of questions of identity and race and masturbation, and the struggles of a man to have sex and be happy about it. And
that's my grim look I'm giving to you there. Grim
because he's not doing so badly, or because it's near the end?
2 minutes up, 2 minutes is up. So you love him.
Fine, I love him.
OK, you now have 1 minute to loathe Philip Roth.
What an incredibly tedious, boring man. He's written 35 novels, all basically the same. He begins his career as a young Jewish man desperate to have sex with whoever he possibly can, but he never can, and they never want to, and when he does, he gets it wrong because he suffers from premature ejaculation and all kinds of sexual taboos and techniques and hang-ups. Now he's an 84-year-old Jewish man still trying to get laid all the time, but he can't do it because obviously he's a bit too old to do it. And so he's jealous of all the young men who he imagines having done it when they were his age, but he never did, and he can't get over it. His preoccupations are entirely parochial. He's been obsessed all his life with being better than John Updike, better than Saul Bellow, never was. He writes about baseball, he writes about the Vietnam War, he writes about sex, he writes a little bit about Israel, and then he comes back and starts again and does the same thing over and over and over again. He's so arrogant that on the dust jacket to his books, which I assume he must write himself, he says, Philip Roth is the only living author to be honoured with a complete set of works published by the National Library of America. The set will be complete in 2012, and I'm certain he's going to be dead by then, so it won't count.
OK, it is decision time. Does Giles Corrin love or loathe Philip Roth?
I think he was much more convincing than he did loathing, but I sort of think he's double bluffing. I sort of think, because I know we like the same sort of book, I think he's right in the sense that some novels have become a little narrow and a little shrunken, and that Philip Roth still paints, whether you like him or not, and some books I hate.
So big and
paints
long and tedious.
But it's a big canvas, it's a universal sweep.
Right,
it's
before
big
we
strokes.
Complete the Philip Roth Memorial Lecture, love or loathe?
I think Sue loves Philip Roth.
I've never had a disagreement about a book with Giles yet. I say he loves it.
Josie, you happy to go with that?
Of course.
Absolutely. We go for love, Giles. Oh, well done, girls. Terrific. So Sue and Josie get 2 points there. In 1969, Roth's most popular novel, the sexually comedic Portnoy's Complaint, was banned in Australia, much to the disappointment of the Australian literati, both of whom had been really looking forward to reading it.
Shame on you, Sandy, shame on you.
Josie, it's your turn. What have you chosen to love and to loathe in turn?
The novel Crime and Punishment.
The novel Crime and Punishment. Are you going to love or loathe to begin with?
I think I'll loathe it first and then love it.
All right, my darling, you start by loathing Crime and Punishment now, please.
The thing about Crime and Punishment is it is so tedious, I've only managed to get halfway through it. He's done a crime, don't tell me what happens next. Don't ruin it. The thing is, it's so tedious, I wish I'd given up halfway through, because there's a 50-page lull, distinctly. After the whole crime bit, there was just a bit that is 50 pages where nothing happens, and you're going, why am I punishing myself in this fashion over and over again? There's a quote in the book on about page 277, and what it says is that, imagine if infinity, instead of being massive, 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 was like being trapped in a tiny little bathhouse full of spiders. And that's what this book is like. It's claustrophobic, it's horrible, and all of the women in it are totally passive. All of the women in it are like, well, just have my life, you creepy murderer, which is completely not real. The only murderer that I would devote my life to is Ted Bundy, because he was good looking, am I right?
Right, Josie, you now have to switch your allegiance, and please will you love Crime and Punishment?
Ladies and gentlemen, Crime and Punishment, what a bloody classic, am I right? I'm right. Crime and Punishment, it's a classic. It might as well be called Rhyme K and Punishment Pay, which is Latin, if you know. Firstly, Raskolnikov, what a classic name. I don't see why more people haven't named their children Raskolnikov. There's a really fantastic quote. It's claustrophobic, it's intense, it's frightful, it's dark, and it's rocketing along. It's just a proper page-turner, but it's intellectual and it's fascinating. There's a really wonderful quote that got me through living in a horrible flat when I was growing up, which is, low ceilings and cramped rooms crush the mind and the spirit, which is, you know, it's always good to have a little quote to sound clever at parties and stuff. There's loads of killing. There's loads of killing, if you like killing. It's terrifying, it's dirty, you know, it's brilliant, it's fantastic.
OK, we're finished there. Have you got a question before you have to make up your mind?
If you love Crime and Punishment so much, why don't you go and live there? Sorry, I've been reading the Daily Mail.
Do you think... Have you read any of his other books?
Yes.
I was waiting for her to say whose.
Oh, no, so maybe.
She gave it away there. Yeah,
I
it's a love,
not.
isn't it?
We probably both think.
Yes.
We think.
In fact...
Yeah. They're voting for love. Have you got love in your envelope? Yes! Yeah. Well done. Of course. Crime and Punishment author Fyodor Dostoevsky once said, far worse than the socialist who is an atheist is the socialist who is a Christian. Well, it's almost as if he knew Tony Blair. I can tell you at the end of that round, it's 5 points each. It's time for a quick break now, but in the meantime, can you at home answer this question? What inspired Dostoevsky to write The Gambler while still working on Crime and Punishment? We'll give you the answer on our return. Welcome back to What the Dickens. Before the break, I asked what inspired Dostoevsky to write The Gambler while still working on Crime and Punishment. The girls, I think, know the answer.
He presumably was a frantic gambler himself. He lost some money on the gaming tables, on the GGs.
He bankrupted himself, and he ended up living underneath the table.
He needed to pay his gambling debt, so he wrote another book. Yeah, absolutely right. The next round is called Common People. I'll show each team 3 famous faces. They have to tell me what the 3 have in common. So, Chris and Giles, here are your 3. Gerard Depardieu, Francis Ford Coppola, and Cliff Richard. What do they have in common?
Are they all virgins?
Yes, correct. Next, no.
Is it they're all going on a summer holiday?
Oh, I love that idea! They're all going on a bus to the south of France.
You'd think Francis Ford Coppola would have chosen the next one down in his 4 passport photos. Because
he's making a film with the life of Harold Shipman, and part of the deal is they all have to go.
They all own vineyards.
Absolutely right. The answer is... They all have their own lines of wine. Depardieu has been making wine since the early 1980s. Coppola produces Californian wine in the Napa Valley. And Cliff Richard launched a Portuguese wine back in 2002.
He actually exports mistletoe and wine. It's a dual business.
I think it's when it actually comes to the kissing bit, he goes, I don't know if I can go through with that, I'm really sorry.
That's what the wine's for.
One of my favourite moments of my entire life involved your dad. It's a story that Giles knows well. Alan Corrin and I were working on another quiz show, and we found ourselves in the makeup room alone with Cliff Richard, and honestly, could neither of us think of any topic of conversation that was suitable, and Alan had the most perfect manners, so he said to Sir Cliff, he said, "Nice necktie." And Sir Cliff looked down and said, "Yes, it's a Galtieri." And there was a slight pause, and Alan went, "Oh, I wondered what he did after the Falklands." At which point, we looked at each other and both turned and left the room. Cliff Richard is, of course, famous for his wine, or singing, as he insists on calling it. Yay! Cliff produces his wine in Portugal, laid down in deep limestone caves, protected from light and kept at a constant low temperature of 6 degrees centigrade. It's how Cliff manages to keep looking so young. Over to you, Sue and Jussie. Here are your three.
Lily Allen sort of singing but actually talking, not really singing, just talking a lot about stuff I know, which is mainly stuff down my street because I don't go anywhere else because I get pursued by paparazzi in it. That's good.
Lily Allen,
we've got clearance for that.
Who's the next one?
Oh, Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton and...
Marky Mark.
Mark Wahlberg. What do they have in common? Lily Allen, Tilda Swinton, Mark Wahlberg.
Is it that they're all the children of Keith Allen? He's neglected all of them.
Yeah.
He's a very bad father.
He's a busy, busy bee.
They've all got something extra.
I know that Marky Mark is known for his downstairs, but
is he?
Yes, he's known for it. But also, he was an underwear model. I don't know if Tilda Swinton has been an underwear model.
No, they have something extra. All three of them have something extra.
Do they have a tertiary nipple, Sandy?
Absolutely correct.
Really?
Yes, they do. The answer is that they all have a third nipple. Such a bizarre thing to know. Lily Allen apparently revealed hers on the Sunday Night Project. Tilda Swinton apparently threatens her brothers with hers. And
how big is it? It's like a cudgel.
You can shoot acid.
Nipply cosh.
And Mark Wahlberg has decided not to remove his, confessing that he has started to like it. So 2 points to Sue and Josie there.
Oh, well done.
Lily Allen has a third nipple and also has an extra tit, her dad Keith. Tilda Swinton has worked with some of the best leading men in the business, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves, to name but one. So at the end of that round, it's 7 points each. Our final round is called Losing the Plot. Our captains have 90 seconds each to impart the title of a well-known work through clues from the plot, but without mentioning, thank you, any names or places, and without using any of the words of the title. I have decided that, Chris, you are going to go first, please.
Ready, team?
Yes.
You've got this, you've got 90 seconds, open your envelope, and you begin now.
OK, right, it's a novel in which a science fiction writer is stalked by a Pontiac salesman. Pontiac's a proper noun, it was the Breakfast of Champions. The next one is...
Lucky I hadn't read it, so
it was a film, it was also a book. A typewriter turns into some kind of cockroachy thing. It's a druggy, 50s-ish.
Was it by one of Burroughs, one of those type of people?
Yeah, exactly that fella.
Is it Naked Lunch?
That's the one, yeah. A young woman brings a black fellow home to eat
Guess
his
who's coming
particular...
for
That's
dinner?
the one, yeah. This is something that you might have at dinner, particularly in that country. It's a nice crust on the top and underneath.
Apple pie, is it?
Yeah, but it's from that country.
Oh.
It's
Mom's apple pie.
What's the name of the country, love?
America.
Yes,
American pie. Right, okay, fine. Sorry, I don't watch that kind of movie.
Right, imagine it's an extremely fast train with a fruit on it, with green bits coming out, and that's quite knobbly and yellow, delicious flesh.
Pineapple Express?
That's the one. This particular kind of citrus is not the single
Orange
example.
is not the only fruit.
Yes, that's right. But if one were to wind one of these up, it would be... Yes, right. This is a film by a Jewish comedian set in a republic.
Bananas.
That's the one. This is an enormous soft fruit and a small gentleman, small lad who eats some of those...
James and the Giant Peach.
That's the one.
Yeah, well done. OK, I make that 7 because James and the Giant Peach happened after the klaxon. So you have got 14, so you need 8. You can do this, girls. You need 8 points.
Okay. Yes, I can.
Here we go. Open your envelope and begin now, please.
Famous transatlantic play about witch hunts.
The Crucible.
This is a famous novel set in the 80s where there's
Psycho?
a hit and run in a bad part of town.
I don't know this.
If it was the 5th of November, I would probably have a...
Fireworks?
No, something like that. It's
Bonfire of the
I damn, I shouldn't have
Libertines.
said it. This is a play set in a place where they eat garlic snails.
France.
In the trenches.
Regeneration?
And it's written by a man whose surname basically would be the guy who wears the star in town and runs
Sheriff.
the whole show. Yeah.
Omar Sharif.
Not written by Omar Sharif, no. Not written by him at all. It's Journey's End.
I'm sorry.
So, now I'm going to go to a musical where a philosophical milkman might sit on the pitch of your house and play an instrument. The instrument might be a stringed instrument. It's a stringed instrument he's playing. If you play a stringed instrument, and I don't think mimes are excluded. What am I doing?
Violin.
And I'm sitting on the pitch of
Fiddler
your
on the
house.
Roof.
Yes, I am.
What's it, Fiddler?
OK, famous play about people who stand at doors and stop people coming into clubs.
God, Bouncers, Doormen.
Good. These are about plants that are horrible. They come to
Day of the
life.
Triffids.
Yes. Famous, I think, restoration sort of novel about a woman comes from finishing school. It's been televised. No, it's 2 words. No. If I was really, really pretty, I looked in the mirror all the time and went, oh, I love myself.
Vanity Fair.
If I... OK, this is a horrible story about nature, about little things that live in warrens. No,
Shut down.
Shut down.
Did we not get it?
You got The Crucible, Fiddler on the Roof, Bouncers, The Day of the Triffids, and Vanity Fair. And that leaves you with 12 points. So after all that excitement, I can tell you that
so sorry.
Chris and Giles are the winners. Please show your appreciation. This has been What the Dickens. I've been Sandy Toksvig, and we're off to have a vote on whether or not Picasso was a skilled portrait painter. Remember, it's the eyes to the left, the nose to the right. Good night.